ask you, what did you learn about yourself? You always ask what the players learn about spring ball, and what did you learn about yourself?
This past spring, what I learned about myself, that's a great question. Wow. I learned a lot of things. You know, you learn every spring, it's different. Every practice session is different. The team evolves, the players evolve, as you said, the coaches evolve. I learned how much I care for these guys. You know, you spend time away from them in COVID in different circumstances and different settings, and then having meetings in the meeting room like we got to go back to this spring. You know, it's just how much energy I get from the players being, you know, in the meeting room and having fun and just loving what they do. So I mean, it's different when you're on Zoom and when you're, you know, distance and all that type of stuff. So it was a different spring for me, and I really enjoyed it, and how much energy I get from those players.
Parker, are you able to give like an update on Noah Ruggles and just the kicking room and the special teams unit?
Yeah, so you know, we really like where we are in the room. Noah will be back for this year. You know, he had a really good season last year, so it's something to build off of. That's something we've talked about a lot, is how do you improve off a great season? Well, there's a lot of ways you can, and that's something we've been focusing on throughout the last few months. And obviously, he wasn't with us in the spring, and it gave the young guys a great opportunity to go show what they did. If you guys paid attention to the spring game, we have some good talent at the with some younger guys as well, and so that was what it was really built on.
How did that decision come about for him not to participate in spring? Like, that doesn't always seem to be a typical situation.
No, it was something I wasn't, I hadn't experienced in the past before, but really that's, it's kind of a personal thing. It wasn't a big deal, nothing bad. It was just kind of a situation. Noah and head coach and I had a conversation, and that's the direction that we went.
Was it at all useful for him? I know Noah and other kickers talk about kind of like the workload, and you don't want to be overtaxed, and you want to like be fresh as a kicker. Was that a factor for him not going?
I think so. It's something you'll ask him when he's back. I'm sure he'll have media at some point. He didn't join the team last year until June, and so he's an older guy. He's mature. He can take care of himself, and that's something he was doing the entire time he wasn't with us. But that was, I think that'd be something to ask him.
Was there a lot of communication, during the spring between you two, like checking in on him, asking him to do certain things?
It wasn't ever asking him to do certain things. I mean, I talked to him all the time, and so that was one of those things. He and I have a great relationship, and so we were constantly communicating. It wasn't necessarily checking in. It was one of those just making sure he's got what he needs, making sure he's doing what he needs to be doing. If he needs help from me or support from anybody here, we're always here for that. But no, he's mature. He kind of takes care of his business in those ways.
What do you like about Parker?
Well, that's a situation we can't discuss him at this moment. There's some stuff. I'll feel more comfortable talking about him when he enrolls pretty soon.
It looks like you will have competition in that room, though. I mean, when you have competition, kind of how do you approach having a competition when you do have a returning starter?
I think all competition is good competition. I think that our job here is to make sure that we get the best out of our players every day. And the motto around here is fight to be the best version of yourself every day. And in some places, the best possible way to do that is to compete. And sometimes competition against yourself is really good. Sometimes competition against other people brings the best out of everybody. And that's kind of our mindset around here.
Speaking on that competition, how do you weigh something like rewarding experience with also giving an opportunity to a younger guy?
It's a really good question. I think that those all factor in, and I think it's a lot of art. Instead of science specifically, there's a lot going on. When you really get to know everybody and how they work and how they play, and there's a lot of factors that go in, and we definitely take those into account. So it's tough to say hypothetically within certain specifics. Yeah, there's instances where one plays out and weighs more than the other, but overall, it's just kind of hard to say out of hypothetical.